Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I have an update to share on one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. So it's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Okay, so you guys may remember this man. I'm referring to Thomas Robertson. He's a 47-year-old, now former police officer. He was fired after photos and videos showed him inside the Capitol with another officer. I have not had a chance to do a video short on him yet, but you may recall this story going around about him. This is the officer that was seen dancing with Black Lives Matter protesters last summer. So they were very shocked. The people who were at that protest, they were shocked to see these guys in the Capitol and fighting for someone that, BLM supporters and I believe to be a white supremacist, a racist, a bigot. So Robertson was arrested. He was arrested back in January, shortly after, I think it was within a week of the January 6th insurrection. And he was indicted just several weeks after being arrested on obstructing an official proceeding, aiding and abetting in that crime, entering a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a restricted building, and disorderly conduct in a Capitol building. Now, based on what we've already seen so far, it's unlikely that he was going to spend any time in jail or in prison, right? Even though he made comments online indicating that he was open to violence. For example, in a Facebook post on January 8th, so just 2 days after this incident at the Capitol, Robertson wrote, quote, "The next revolution started in DC 1621. The only voice these people will now listen to is violence." And he wrote violence in all caps. He went on to say, "So respectfully, buckle armor or just stay at home." And he made comments saying that he was proud of what he did. He was proud that he had skin in the game, that he actually took action. However, he wasn't violent while he was in the Capitol. And he entered the building after it had already been breached. So he wasn't one of the ones who broke windows or, busted through a door. So more than likely, he would have gotten a slap on the wrist like so many of these other people. He probably would have been put on probation and so forth. Well, he's already back in jail. And he hasn't gone to trial yet, but he's back in jail and he's going to remain there until his trial. And here's why. Rather than having a come to Jesus moment and realizing that, hey, maybe I didn't make the best choices on January 6th. No, Robertson has gone a different direction with this. He's actually doubled and tripled down on his beliefs, and he violated his bail conditions, namely the one that he was not allowed to have or be around any weapons because the guy's under federal and felony indictment. Well, this all started in January. In January, just several days after Robertson was released from jail, authorities found and seized 8 firearms and a large stash of ammunition that was in his home, as well as equipment they say that could be used to reload ammo. So prosecutors asked for Robertson to be taken back into custody then, back in January, but the judge said, no, I'm going to give him a second chance, which to me is almost more like a third chance because, he was already a cop when he was in the Capitol illegally and taking part in that whole thing. That to me was the first chance. The second chance was, going to jail and then being released on bail. So really, I don't think this was the second, but whatever. So he remained a free man. He stayed out, even though they found those weapons. Well, somehow the FBI was tipped off to the fact that Robertson was still buying guns. He bought more guns. And on January 29th, the FBI paid a visit to Robertson's home. And number one, they found a loaded M4 assault rifle on his bed, They found ammunition, and they found a semi-assembled pipe bomb. In addition to that pipe bomb, they found a box that was marked booby trap. And when they opened that box, they found a metal pipe with 2 end caps with a fuse inserted into a hole that had been drilled into that device. That's how they described it. They said that although the device didn't contain powder explosives, they did find some powder explosives in a building on his property. So he had all the makings of another bomb. But agents knew that Robertson had purchased more guns. Like I said, somebody tipped them off, or somehow they got this information. So they questioned him about it. And Robertson did admit that, yeah, he had purchased more guns, but he just hadn't picked them up yet. So the FBI agents went and they spoke to the owner of a store called Tactical Operations. And the owner confirmed that, yep, Robertson had purchased guns all right. He purchased 34 guns. And basically the store was just waiting for him to come pick them up. And then the store owner said, oh yeah, and by the way, he was in here like a week ago and he was handling several of the weapons. And then the owner of the store also said that Robertson told him, he admitted to the store owner that he couldn't keep guns in his home because of his bail conditions. So let me get this straight. A store owner selling guns knows someone is out on bail for committing crimes, committing a felony, which precludes him from owning guns and keeping them in his home, and they're selling him 34 freaking guns. Yeah. Welcome to America, everybody. I can't imagine why we have so much gun violence. It just makes no sense. So the judge ruled on this, and he's sending Robertson back to jail. He said, yeah, you're done. In his ruling, the judge stated, quote, there is probable cause to believe that Robertson committed a felony, willfully shipping or transporting firearms and ammunition despite being under felony indictment while on pretrial release. Under the applicable statute, this finding gives rise to rebuttable presumption that Robertson cannot be safely released into the community pending trial under any conditions. And his decision was not based just on the fact that this guy was clearly stockpiling weapons for some reason and creating pipe bombs. But the judge also called out the fact that Robertson made very disturbing posts online recently. So on June 10th, on a website called gunbroker.com, Robertson wrote, quote, I've said before, they are trying to teach us a lesson. They have, but it's definitely not the intended lesson. I have learned that if you peacefully protest, then you will be arrested, fired, be put on a no-fly list, have your name smeared, and address released by the FBI so every loon in the US can send you hate mail. I have learned very well that if you dip your toe into the Rubicon, cross it hard and violent, and play for all the marbles. Clearly a guy that's figured it out, right? Clearly a guy who realizes the errors of his ways. Yeah. So in response to these very disturbing comments, the judge wrote, quote, the undisputed facts demonstrate a concrete risk that Robertson might participate in or provide material support to acts of ideologically motivated violence if released at this time. His recent social media post may contain elements of bravado and hyperbole, but they provide evidence that Robertson is sympathetic to calls for violent revolution and has been further radicalized by his pending prosecution. He went on to say, coincidentally or not, Robertson has also embarked on a remarkable shopping spree for high-powered assault weapons. Robertson's procurement of these dangerous weapons under the surrounding circumstances heightens the risk to public safety, despite the fact that he might have to lie on a federal form in order to take possession of them. Now, here's the funny part. Robertson's attorney tried to argue that, all of these weapons he was purchasing were just these vintage type World War II era guns. They're all just 50 years old. I mean, basically he's trying to say, they're just collectibles. He wasn't going to use them. They're just for show. First of all, the judge called BS on that one, and he noted that many of these guns were recent vintage military style assault weapons. But second, what's the attorney's explanation for the pipe bomb and the other nearly complete explosive device that they found in Robertson's home? I mean, okay, guns are one thing, right? You could say someone is collecting guns, they just are into that. They're just really into shooting. It's a hobby. It's a sport to them. It's something they enjoy. But it's not like people are out there building explosive devices as a hobby. And his online posts speak volumes. And, I was also thinking in reading all of this that there are clearly good people out there who, thank God, reported this guy's activities and online statements. Otherwise, we would have never known. We wouldn't have known about these comments. We wouldn't have known about him buying weapons. Presumably, I don't know exactly how the FBI found that out, but we definitely wouldn't have known about his comments. You would think that this would wake some of these people up and make them realize that no, you really aren't the silent majority in this country. You are a sliver of the US population, and the rest of us think that you're unhinged. And you would think, too, that these people would realize that from how many of their friends and family members and coworkers turned them in. Clearly, if they were the silent majority, that wouldn't have happened at the rate that it did, like in every single case. They would have had a lot more allies. But anyway, let's just hope that with all of this other stuff that he's done since January 6th, hopefully this will all be taken into consideration when it comes time for his trial or a plea deal. Maybe now that he's actually in jail again and he's going to have to sit there for quite some time because they are so backed up. I don't know. That it's going to go one of two ways. It's not going to go down the middle. It's either going to piss him off more. It's either going to radicalize him more and make him more aggressive and angry, or it might actually wake him up. Let's hope for the former. Anyway, guys, I will keep you posted on this story as well as all of the others. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Take care. I will talk with you soon.